Hello. How are you?
Very well. How are you? Okay, welcome, gentlemen. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Garden Grove Housing Authority.
Okay. Commissioner Beckles,
Present.
Commissioner Bowie,
Here.
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
Commissioner O'Connor,
Here.
Commissioner Fawn,
Here.
Vice Chair Beard,
Here.
Chair Nguyen.
Yes. Do we have any oral communications for the Housing Authority?
I haven't received any cards.
Okay. We have 2 items on the consent calendar.
Items 2A through 2C will be acted on simultaneously with one motion unless a separate discussion and/or action is requested by a commissioner.
I made a motion to approve.
I second it.
Let's vote.
Motion received, 7 yes votes.
Great, and there are no public hearings tonight. Any matters from fellow commissioners or directors? Staff? None? I'll adjourn this meeting. And we will move on to sanitary? Oh,
No. Oh, do we not?
we have a sanitary agenda. Is that where we go next?
No,
No? I think sanitary's
Alan?
later. Sanitary district next, or?
no, sanitary's
okay.
successor and then sanitary.
Okay, I see. All right. Thank you.
It's like a movie scene.
Okay, we'll just give a few moments for staff to,
Yeah, we, just think how nice.
is there a thing over there?
Words.
Good, man. Good.
That was an adorable picture with Ashton holding my hand.
You just see it.
Call this meeting to order. This is our city council meeting. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Beard.
Here.
Councilmember Bowie.
Here.
Councilmember Fawn.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Jones.
Here.
Mayor Nguyen.
Yes. Please rise, and I'd like to ask our Assistant City Manager, Kingsley Okereke, to offer us the invocation.
Okay. Please prepare yourself according to your faith. We thank you, Lord, for all those gathered here this evening and for the sense of high purpose we share. As we consider the items before us this evening, we ask that you guide us, give us pure hearts, the strength and the commitment to make the best decisions for our Garden Grove community. Let your will be clear and let your will be done. Amen.
Thank you. And I'd like to ask Councilmember Fat Bowie to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
We face the flag. Place your hand over your heart. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Presentations?
We're having a community spotlight recognizing Mark and Debbie Mahoney, recipients of the Cypress College Americana Award as Garden Grove Citizens of the Year. And Kingsley Okereke will be presenting the spotlight.
Okay, thank you, City Clerk. This evening, the City of Garden Grove Council pays tribute to a very special couple whose constant and meaningful work in the community have earned them the prestigious title of Garden Grove Citizens of the Year from the Cypress College 2015 Americana Awards. Each year, the Cypress College honors citizens from the 8 surrounding cities that form the college's primary service area. at their annual Americana Awards ceremony. Award recipients are chosen based on their humanitarian work, philanthropy, and partnership efforts within their communities. At this time, I'd like to ask this year's Garden Grove Citizens of the Year, Mark and Debbie Mahoney, to please come forward. Mark has a can-do attitude and is known as a true gentleman. He served as president of the Strawberry Festival Board and the Elks Enders Campaign Club, He's also active in the Sister City organization and has volunteered with the Garden Grove Elks Lodge for the past 23 years. He currently holds the position of lecturing knight. Debbie is known as a great people person, in quote, someone who is always there with a smile and friendly words. She has given countless hours of her time and energy for the betterment of Garden Grove community, and she has been a very integral part of the success of the Garden Grove Chamber of Commerce's Women's Division. Debbie has volunteered for many years as both an associate and director of the Strawberry Festival, and she has received 2 Silver Spoon Awards for her outstanding volunteer work. Mark and Debbie's generosity, passion, and spirit of service have been recognized by the many service clubs they represent and by the city of Garden Grove. Last year, they were recognized by the mayor and city council for their selection as Garden Grove Chamberman and Woman of the Year. Mark and Debbie's exceptional service to the city and community goes beyond words and is further exemplified by their selection as this year's Cypress College Americana Awards Garden Grove Citizens of the Year. At this time, Mayor and City Council would like to present Mark and Debbie Mahoney with a resolution in honor of their meritorious recognition. Congratulations, Mark and Debbie.
Okay, and one more. Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Please.
Oh, okay. We're really honored. Thank you so much for this wonderful award. Words can't express how much we appreciate it. We love Garden Grove. We do everything here, and we look forward to a whole lot more years to doing it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I grew up in Garden Grove. I went to Bolsa Grande High School, and my mom and dad would be so proud that I'm so active in the Garden Grove. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll have oral communications. Okay, let's be respectful. Lung Pham, or Fan, sorry. If I pronounce your name incorrectly, please correct me. I do read Vietnamese, so if you do put the accent marks on there, I can read it.
All right. Good evening, Major, Councilman of City of Garden Grove, city staff. My name is Lương Phan. I'm a chairman of organization called Coalition of Republic of Vietnam Veteran Association in Southern California, abbreviated COVA. Also, I am a retiree at the Critical Care Distinguished Engineer at Edward Life Science after 39 years of service. In behalf of COVA, we sincerely appreciated to Major Pro Tem Stephen Jones, to Councilman Chris Phan, to Councilman Chris Beer, and for your support with Councilman Phát Bùi in his letter to seeking for Concur and Riverside citizenship. We like to extend special thanks to Councilman Councilman Phak Bui for that effort. Although one vote short from Mr. Major himself, but we are quite happy with 4 votes. Also, we like to take the opportunity to clarify to some of Mr. Major Bảo Nguyễn statement on the 29 January. On the 9th of January 29, 2015, none of Vietnamese in oral communication have accused or labeled the city of Riverside as communist or communist sympathizer. We simply just address our concern. None of us asking the city of Garden Grove leadership to tell the city of Riverside what to do. We simply asking the city of Garden Grove leadership to convey our concern to the city of Riverside with regard to citizenship between Cần Thơ and Riverside. And if possible, they can rescind the agreement. We also heard from several witnesses who have been here, Mr. Mayor make a comment to some people after the meeting adjourned, that after 40 years, we have not forgotten the past. We continue keeping the animosity toward the communist government. I, myself, like to answer that question to you directly. As long as the communist regime of Vietnam continues to suppress personal liberty, the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, confiscated the land of the farmer, export the women and children as the sex slave, and give our fatherland and the sea to the communists of China, I will continue fight for that. I will fight for my fellow country, for those people can speak themselves where there can be have freedom of speech. As the Vietnamese voter, we will use our ballot to answer to representatives that try to oppose and marginalize the people that have been voted for them. Thank you very much for your listen. Thank you for your time.
Laura Hien Tran. Laura Hien Tran.
Dear Mayor and City Council members, my name is Laura Hien Tran. I'm standing here tonight to speak on behalf of my family of 10 living in 11952 Medina Drive, Garden Grove, CA 92840, as well as an activist in the Vietnamese community almost 3 decades ago. Dear Mayor, as you stated during the time you ran for mayor, that you were a child being born in a refugee camp. That means your parents escaped from the brutality and the cruelty of the communist regime. And your statement was the reason why a lot of Vietnamese living in Garden Grove, like my family, had voted for you. They expected that you would understand about communism and would be representing their voice to speak out against the continuous violation of human rights of the communist rulers towards their citizens in Vietnam. But unfortunately for us, you had turned your nose at us under the pretext for not interfering with the another city's internal affairs. We all know it's just an excuse for refusing to do your duty is representing the voice of 70,000 of the Vietnamese population, victim of the communists living now in Garden Grove. In the meantime, you urged your colleague to vote against the letter to Riverside. You also urged them to focus in a vengeful goal of bringing about criminal investigation against your opponent, the former Mayor Bruce Bolswader. You should rather rally your effort to rebuild the city in the more positive direction. We, the Vietnamese, residents of this lovely and peaceful city, we feel betrayed at entrusting to the new useful but untested space into the city hall. Under Mayor Bruce Bowater leadership, the residents here were able to start the wave of resolutions in recognizing the nationalist flag as a symbol of the Vietnamese American community, which has had spread over 120 cities nationwide. And also the resolution that prohibit the Vietnamese Communist government official to travel publicly throughout the city to avoid the residents of this city to pay for their protection. Maybe under your leadership, the community here might be losing the Vietnam War Museum, the first of its kind in America, that would be attracting a lot of visitors nationwide and maybe international-wide. This project was proposed by the former Mayor Bush. The Vietnamese community here had expected you would do more good activities for us. That's why they called to vote for you, because you are Vietnamese refugee. But now we feel devastated and lost under your leadership. We recognized the main reason is that you're too young, too inexperienced, too arrogant, too naive, and a lot of people doubted that you were misled and seduced by the Vietnamese communists during your trip back to Vietnam to visit the country. Thank you for your time.
Trương Ngọc Sơn. Ông hay bà Trương Ngọc Sơn?
Could I ask that you request the audience to be quiet so that I can hear it? Because sometimes they talk and it's difficult for me to understand what they are talking about.
Sure, please let's be respectful. We're conducting a meeting, and when someone's speaking and it is not your turn, please listen.
I don't speak English well. I want interpreter translate English for me. Thank you.
I will try my best.
Xin kính chào quý vị nghị viên, kính chào ông thị trưởng và toàn thể quý vị. Có gì sơ sót xin ông nghị viên Nguyễn Quốc Bảo cùng các vị nghị viên lượng tình. Tôi một anh lính già lẫn cẫn rồi, thành ra chắc cũng không được mạch lạc.
He said he old soldier, he may not be clear.
Tôi xin kính gửi tới ông Nguyễn Quốc Bảo, Chủ tịch Hội đồng thành phố Gardenro. Tôi là người cư dân của thành phố Gardenro, sống tại đường Gardenro số 9675, đường Gardenro thuộc thành phố Gardenro.
He said the Gardenro resident at 9675 in Gardenro Boulevard.
Tôi xin kính gửi tới ông thị trưởng Nguyễn Quốc Bảo 3 câu hỏi. Câu hỏi thứ nhất là có phải các ngày Quân lực Việt Nam Cộng hòa binh chủng biệt động quân tổ chức tân niên, ông Bảo đã dẫn 2 người đàn ông to cao bậm trợn tới để có tính cách khủng bố tinh thần nhà báo Thanh Phong của chúng tôi hay không? Xin ông trả lời có hay không?
He asking the three question to Mr. Mayor in the New Year celebration of the Vietnamese Ranger. The mayor came over with two gentlemen. It's quite a big inside, and he wasn't clear what the intent was. The intent is terrorize the reporter Thanh Phong or something else. He asking Mr. Mayor to answer yes or no.
Câu thứ hai, tôi xin ông thị trưởng Nguyễn Quốc Bảo trả lời. Có phải là báo OC Weekly phỏng vấn ông khi ông về cái vụ Trần Trường ngày 29 tháng 5 2003, tức là báo OC Weekly phỏng vấn ông đó. Thì ông trả lời là cái việc của ông Trần Trường làm treo cờ máu và treo hình ông Hồ ở thành phố Westminster, khu Phước Đồng Thọ là hoàn toàn đúng và có quyền. Có phải như thế không? Xin ông trả lời có hay không?
He also asked Mr. Mayor on the 29th of May 2003 in answer to the new Orange County Weekly in the question of about the Trần Trường. The Trần Trường is the gentleman that have a communist flag, and also the picture of Ho Chi Minh was the president of Vietnam. And Mr. Mayor say, well, at the United States, Mr. Trần Trường have a right to do so. Did that true or false? He asked Mayor to answer true or false.
Câu thứ ba tôi xin gửi tới ông Trần Quốc Bảo, thị trưởng Garden Row, đương nhiệm nhiệm. OC Weekly phỏng vấn ông khi ông về Việt Nam là ông nhận định thế nào chế độ Cộng sản Việt Nam hiện tại, có tự do nhân quyền hay không? Thì có phải là ông trả lời là Việt Nam Cộng sản Hà Nội ngày nay hoàn toàn tự do hơn cả cái nơi ông hiện tại đang sống là nước Mỹ, Hoa Kỳ, mà cụ thể là thành phố ông đang sống. Ông trả lời có hay không cho chúng tôi.
He also asked Mr. Mayor on the day when Mr. Mayor visited Vietnam and come back and OC Weekly in the interview, Mr. Mayor say they're asking that you're afraid when it's in Vietnam, and Mr. Mayor say, well, nothing to be afraid in Vietnam. I feel more freedom in Vietnam than in United States.
Xin cảm ơn ông và xin kính chào toàn thể quý vị nghị viên.
Patrick Liu.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, dear Mayor and Councilman. My name is Patrick, Vietnamese American, and also I'm a resident of Garden Grove. This is the question for the Mayor. My question is very simple and very short. Why did not say the letter when your college mailed to the Riverside City? Four of them. 4 councilmen already did, but you did not sign. Maybe you will say it's not a priority. Absolutely is wrong. Did you know the country city violate many issues? For example, human rights, freedom of religion, freedom of press, and so on. Kunter was not elected by the Vietnamese people, was appointed by Vietnamese government. Here, you are elected by the people of Garden Grove. You're very lucky. So you must listen to the people's will. This is a good cause. I emphasize one more time, you have to listen to the people's will. We need the answer from you. Thank you.
Win Cam Van. Win Cam Van.
Dạ muốn dạ kính chào hội đồng Garden Row và kính chào ông thị trưởng Garden Row và cư dân thành phố Garden Row. Dạ em cũng là cư dân của thành phố Garden Row. Hôm nay là lần thứ 2 em đến đây để trình bày về vấn đề mà kết nghĩa với Cần Thơ. em rất buồn là tại vì ông thị trưởng á, không có đồng cảm với em, tại vì em là một cái người hiện thực mà bị chính quyền Cần Thơ đàn áp, tham nhũng.
First, he'd like to say hi to all the city mayor and all the councilmen. She also, this is the second time she appeared in front of you, and she feel very sad that Mr. Mayor wasn't listen to her grievance, and she personally experienced the injustice from the government of Vietnam, confiscate her wealth, I guess.
Dạ, hôm trước á, ở trong phòng họp á, em cũng đã trình bày qua cái vấn đề mà chính quyền Cần Thơ đối xử với gia đình của em là cướp hết tài sản của chồng em khi mà chồng em chết. Mà chồng em là một cái người giảng viên Đại học Y Cần Thơ. Nhưng mà họ đã dùng những cái bản án vu khống không có đạo đức đối với chồng em, làm cho em rất là phẫn uất. Để mục đích để làm gì? Để mà cướp hết tài sản của gia đình em.
Well, she say her husband is a professor in the Cần Thơ University, and the government of Vietnam at Cần Thơ particularly try to accuse all kind of false report and confiscated their family wealth, houses, and whenever they have.
Dạ thưa ông thị trưởng, hôm trước em có chặn ông thị trưởng bên ngoài để mà nói chuyện giống như tâm sự với ông thị trưởng về vấn đề của em. Nhưng mà ông thị trưởng không có sự đồng cảm với em. Rồi cái câu mà ông thị trưởng nói là đã 40 năm rồi mà vẫn còn mang trong lòng tù hận. Thì hôm nay em có những cái giấy tờ để chứng minh đây là chuyện hiện tại chứ không phải là chuyện 40 năm về trước. Cái ngày 24 tháng 9 năm 2015 là cái tài sản cuối cùng của chồng em bị chính quyền thành phố Cần Thơ là cướp hết luôn để chia chác với nhau. Đã cấu kết với tội phạm là Huỳnh Thị Thanh Chi, cư ngụ ở 14 Nguyễn Văn Cừ, thành phố Cần Thơ, để mà lấy tài sản của em chia với nhau.
After the meeting on the 29th of January, after meeting adjourned, she did spoke to the mayor, but still the mayor don't understand her situation. And this is the last evidence that the government of Cần Thơ confiscated her, falsified the report, and confiscated her. Well, and she present the final report whenever to the city council.
Đó là không phải là chuyện 40 năm mà đã qua mà vẫn còn mang trong lòng thù hận, mà cái đó là cái chuyện hiện tại đang xảy ra đối với em và đối với gia đình của em tại thành phố Cần Thơ.
She said that's not the 40 years ago that she make it up, and she still have animosity with the city of Vietnam. It now is 2015. That's not the past, it's the present.
Em nói thật, nếu như mà không có đất Mỹ cưu mang mẹ con em thì em thật sự em không biết là sống sao, tại vì em không còn gì hết á. Thậm chí em đi qua đây em cũng không có tiền mua vé máy bay qua.
To back her tied up, she says, without the help of the United States government, she don't know what to do, and she not even have any money to buy the airline ticket when she get approved to migrate to the United States, and her time is expired.
Thank you. Next person up is Josh McIntosh.
Em cảm ơn.
Well, I probably wore the wrong jacket tonight because it says Charlie. Chukmung Namai. To the audience here and the audience at home, I want you to understand my words. There's been bad translations done this evening. There have been bad translations done on the signage behind me. And there's been bad translations done in the newspapers. For all of you who cannot fluently speak English tonight, I apologize, and I want you to try and wrap your heads around this. We have a very passionate crowd here tonight that are participating, some of them for the first time in Garden Grove politics. Many of you are here for the very first time, and you've come to discuss an issue that is very important to you. I can tell you that as a son of the generation of men who went to Vietnam from Garden Grove to fight in your country, we appreciate that you are appreciative of the new government you're a part of tonight and for the last 40 years. Thank you all for contributing to Garden Grove's top students, to improvements across the city in many areas that were not as they are today. You've contributed to our city in many, many ways, but I think that people are missing a big point tonight: the value of a sister city program. The sister city program is designed to introduce children of other countries and other nations and around the world to what we're experiencing in life here in the United States of America. Students from Vietnam will come to America through the Sister City Project in Riverside and learn about American life, American values, the difference between their homeland and what we have here. This is giving them the opportunity to learn and become the seeds that can grow to make Vietnam a better place. It needs a ton of improvement. Unfortunately, we lost the war. No one is happy about that. The residents there, the American residents here, no one is happy about that. I don't feel that Bao's letter is going to make a change in Vietnam. I think that the students that come here have the opportunity to make a change by learning American values and bringing them home.
Folks, let's be respectful. People were respectful for you when you came up and spoke. Ma'am, please, let's listen respectfully.
There are other issues that surround us every day. For example, Chris Beard has introduced a puppy mill, or something we voted on not long ago, to not have puppy farms in Garden Grove anymore, or accept them. There are other cities in America that still do. We're not writing tons of letters to these other cities telling them they have to do it too. I understand and appreciate your passion, and I do thank you for showing up here tonight to everyone that's speaking. I just want you to understand we do things for the good of all people, and there are certain methods. There are methods that are successful and methods that are not as successful. I think that the children learning American values would be the most successful. Please consider that, and you may continue to fight against communism. Please do, and please be great Americans.
Shuri?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor and Council, with your indulgence, my apology for the interruption, but during our last speaker, I was alerted that we do have a number of ASB students from Garden Grove High School here who are present to speak on a matter directly to the council. I acknowledge the fact that we've got many people in the audience here to speak tonight. They agreed that if they could just have two speakers, that if the council is of the mind to allow them to speak a little bit earlier so the students can leave, rather than to have them all line up. I defer to your respectful judgment.
Certainly. Thank you for bringing that up. Before I continue, I want to have respect in this room. These are our council chambers. This is your government. We appreciate you coming. We want to listen. But that also means that we have to listen to those that are currently speaking. Please be respectful to whomever is speaking. At this time, I would like to invite those students that are here after Ms. Sherry Rodriguez. So if Ms. Sherry Rodriguez here, and right after her, we'll have those folks come in. Okay, thank you. In that case, Mr. Craig Durfee, are you in the room?
Craig's in the other room.
I have to be the last person today and let the students get their rest tonight for their school and speak.
Sure, if the students are ready, have them come in. Okay, please.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nithya Sanchez, and I attend Garden Grove High School. And I just wanted to bring up the topic of accidents that happen around Garden Grove. First, I want to say that almost every day at school, for first period, there are a lot of students who are late, and usually those tardies are excused, because they always announce that an accident occurred around the school. So the accident caused those students to be late. And I feel like that's not safe, because if there's an accident frequently, then it's obviously not safe for the students. Also, I wanted to bring up that the crosswalks aren't 100% safe, because I remember in middle school, I was walking home and I was about to cross the crosswalk, but I witnessed a biker get hit by a truck, and it wasn't very pleasant to watch. And I witnessed a lot of blood, and the kid ended up dying. So I don't want that to be something that students have to see when they go to school or when they leave school.
Somebody else want to talk?
Thank you. Anyone else from your group would like to speak?
We thought you had two. We only
Yeah, I
had
thought
one.
One more person want to speak?
Okay.
Hi, my name is Melissa Corona.
Hi.
And, okay. And I walk home from school every day, and even though I get out early, I see like a lot of vehicles and motorists not see where people are crossing, and of course I have to wait. But it seems that, well, I was brought up pedestrians have the right of way, so I don't see why we should like allow them to continue having these accidents and not being aware that people are actually there. Students are there, and they need to see that there's like an entire campus there, and we need to make sure that we're safe, because if we aren't safe on campus or near campus, then it's like, why? And I have a personal experience, because I used to walk to school, to elementary school, and I was in 5th grade, and I was walking to school, and there was this woman, and she was in her car, and I was crossing the street, and she had stopped, and she saw me. I knew that she saw me, and she hit me with her car. And you see it there, like little 9-year-old, little 10-year-old, and I am freaking out. And she didn't just stop and like, oh my gosh, I hit someone. She went back and she hit me again. And I was shocked. I'm like, why? And luckily, since I had one of the rolling backpacks and they have a hard back, that helped me, and it broke in half, and it helped my spine from being broken. And the first thing she asked me, she didn't ask me, are you okay? Do you need help? Can I give you a ride to school? She didn't see if I was okay. She didn't care and didn't see if I was injured. She just said, oh, let me give you a ride to school. So I was crying, and luckily I had one of my father's friends there because he was walking myself, and his grandson to school. And luckily he stopped her from hitting me a third time. And my parents, they had a complete fit because she's like, how could you not see this child? And she's like, I thought she was in high school. And I was tall at that time. I was about the same height I am now. And I still don't understand why she didn't understand what a 10-year-old was from a high school student. So I would like to see that the crosswalks here are safer. Because if a student gets hit, it's like, what, you can't even feel safe going to school. So if there was a way that we could make the crosswalk safer near school, that would be great for all of us, because you have students coming for 0 period, first period, they get out early during lunch, like seniors, they like to go to other places, and they still have to worry about vehicles and motorists coming, and they might hit them. And you have people that get out right after school, and it's a rush of students. And you have to see that people are walking. You need to make sure that they are safe, because if students aren't safe near their campus, then why should we allow this to happen? You need them to be safe.
Thank you.
What grade are you guys in? Grade 10, 9, 10, 11?
What grade are you in?
Oh, I'm in.
All over? Good.
9th through 12th. They're all from Garden Grove High School, and I'm really proud to see my ASB here. Thank you very, very much. As we said last month, we want to see something done with our crosswalks. I don't know if you guys have even gone by or looked at it, but our students want to know that we are going to do something about it. This isn't going to be pushed under the mat, and as you heard, they all had their own things to say about those wonderful crosswalks. I know we all have students and we all have children. Someday we'll have grandchildren at that school. So I encourage you, and I really would like to know what we are planning to do as a council of Garden Grove itself on our safety of our students. So thank you very much, students.
Mr. Mayor, I know it's still in the middle of the public oral communication, but if I could say a quick things.
Actually, let's wait on that.
Okay.
We have that after we listen to all the oral communications. But I do know I'd like the city manager to actually address some of these grant opportunities that we're looking at in regards to pedestrian safety, et cetera, if you would.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And very, very briefly, we have been in touch with the school district. This takes the cooperation of both the school district and the city. And on the city side, both Public Works and the police department. And it really is one of those that takes cooperation by all. Both we as pedestrians, because I will tell you from my professional experience, we'll never be able to paint a crosswalk that will protect you. That crosswalk doesn't exist. There are crosswalks that will bring perhaps greater alert to the drivers, but it requires us as pedestrians to be intelligent and pay attention as well, just as it does drivers. But there are tools that we can look to using, as well as grants for some of those tools, both signage, as well as safety precaution lights and other enforcement tools. We are working to get some of those organized. In fact, we'll be talking a little later this evening on a totally unrelated item about a small task force that we want to put together, and we would love to have your representation on it.
Thank you. And thank you all for coming and taking the time. Great job, everybody. We're dedicated to this, and I know that all members of the council want to ensure safety. That is a top priority in our city, and it just makes me so proud to hear from young people and to see that you're willing to come here and share your experiences and let us know what the priorities are for our city. Thank you. Craig Durfee.
Good job, everybody. Thank you. My name is Craig Durfee, founder of Distracted Driving Awareness and Complete Streets. Tonight you have a representation of the community that I support and have been there for them from day one. I would like to say that this is a representation of a delayed process of our city government and our infrastructure. Can be solved, but we don't have to wait 3 years. There are policies and things that we can give our staff to follow that are state laws right now. Put them on the agenda. Let's put the policy in place, move forward. But I want to say to Kim, Hoy, Susan, and the community development, thank you for seeing the vision I had. You're now having a Cyclovia event. You're going to see more youth involved I talk to youth, and they're very interested in moving forward with your mayor and the council. But we have to gauge them, and we have to reach out to them. And all cultures. We are going to have to depend on mobility that is more expensive, so we have to create the grants. And I have my 4 things today. I want to see, at a consideration, a grant writer. There are OCT funds for your bus shelters with deficiencies. I'd like to see your NACTO standards, your Complete Street Act, update your general plan for climate change. And there are all kinds of funds for the bike racks. And I'd like to see the issue of the traffic commission. It's one of my pet peeves. And I have said before, it needs to go every month. There's a lot of log jams going on between the traffic engineering, quite frankly, and the traffic commission. And I, as you said, technology mayor, I've sent you pictures of the notepad. I spent money. And a camera. It don't lie, according to Chris Pham. So now we have blight. When I said I knew Garden Grove, when it was Garden Grove, the Vaughn's Pavilion back there, that might be just tore down and built homes. But we need AB 1183, quite frankly, council. We're so far behind on 2014, get 2/3 of vote of the residents. It's like a measure in 1 or 2. You will have no problem with your money problems. Our staff is so tight that Aaron Webb is going to be working on that bicycle master plan, and where are you going to get the money to pay for down the road when you're not getting the grant writers to bring the money home? I met with Councilman Chris Beard before Christmas. I read out 8 items, 8 separate letters, and I'd like to see those things implemented. If we're going to make the jobs, we have to have infrastructure. That's 101 in business school, sir. And I think if we're going to turn this around without criticizing the city, we have to recognize that we waited too long, and we need to pick up the straps as a council and guide the staff to move forward and hire more people. I have the support of our police department to enforce the abuse on Chapman and Knott, where they're putting people's lives at risk by parking on the bike lane. And you, as a city council, allowed to lease that land for the soccer fields. They're coming from San Diego, and they're not being shepherded as the part of your responsibility. Chapman and Industrial, there should be a crosswalk with a stoplight because they need a parking space. I'm not against the soccer team, but what I'm upset about is we're not making it safe for night and day for the crosswalk situation, for the residents, and for the people activity, and we're not making it safe for our bike lanes for our master plan. These things are very simple. We can do it now, and we can build towards that master plan completion. And I do advise SCAG. I do advise a lot of cities. And I'm telling you, Steve Jones knows, I sit to a lot of meetings at OCTA, and it's honestly, our city needs to move forward. And it's up to this council to guide your staff and increase the staff level to where we can actually do something. And I would appreciate a conversation with the mayor and staff on this issue, because 5 minutes is not enough. And I hope that you will see the pictures, and let me continue to send the pictures, because your staff tells me they need money for signage change. Staff tells me need for a parking enforcement officer, or non-sworn officer, that'll pay for itself so that we can start on Stanford, where Josh's house is a nightmare, and other locations where people are fighting for a parking permit. And I suggest that steel building that you want to tear down, I suggest you make it a parking structure, because I see what other cities have done, and the need for it is already becoming acute when you have events, and people are over living in a room, maybe 2 rooms, 3 rooms with more people than it needs for more parking spaces. We're too tight now. I have a vision. I hope that the council and help the staff, they're stressed out in terms of not enough staff to help themselves to do the things that you guys want them to do. We need to visit this besides the budget. We need to look at how we're going to get ahead. Thank you.
Ray Hamstra.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilman. My name is Ray Heimstra. I'm a Garden Grove resident, and I'm the Associate Director at Orange County Coastkeeper. I'm here to talk to you tonight about the Poseidon Desalination Project. Some of you may be aware that Poseidon, a private corporation, has been working to build an ocean desalination project in Huntington Beach and sell the water for about 15 years. The reason they've been working on it for 15 years is they don't have a customer. Recently, Orange County Water District has started to take a close look at this and is considering buying the water. The reason I'm bringing this up is it has major implications for Garden Grove. For instance, from the studied financial analysis done by Orange County Water District, the cost of Poseidon would raise the replenishment assessment by 37% to $94 an acre foot. What does that mean for Garden Grove? An extra $1.8 million a year in water costs. So this is a big issue. We have a new representative at Orange County Water District. I wouldn't be surprised at all if she wasn't up to speed on this. I've been following it for about 10 years now. It's a very complicated issue. What I'm asking is that the council have a study session on this. Look at it carefully and take a good look at this and come up with some recommendations. For instance, the city of Anaheim, the city of Fullerton, and the Irvine Ranch Water District are very concerned about this, and have written letters to Orange County Water District expressing those concerns about having this water forced on them, which is basically the plan. In the meantime, and I hope you do have a study session, and I'd be glad to participate, there is an upcoming town hall on March 5th in Huntington Beach, and I'd just like to invite you all to attend. Pierce Swan, one of the directors of Orange County Water District, will be the key speaker there and can provide you with more information on this subject. Thank you very much.
Melody Alford. Thanks.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm here because Sunday night at 11262, they had 3 tour buses parked in the eastbound lane of Lamson for 20 minutes, unloading people into their Vietnamese New
Could
Year's.
you hold on 1 second? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Folks, please silence your cell phones. If you need to take a call, please step outside. Let's be respectful. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, they had 3 tour buses parked in the eastbound lane of Lamson for 20 minutes, unloading people into this house. It's 112, is it the address?
Oh, I'm past it, so the
Yeah,
council.
anyways, we had to physically, because we were coming home, pull out into the westbound lane blindly to get to our block. People were irate. The traffic was irate. There was no permit for them to be doing this. They did this last year, too. You know, this is not the first time they've done it. This is the second time they've done it. It's just like the kids were talking about. There's a safety issue there. It was raining. It was dusk. And we were unloading more than 200 people out of buses into a residential home behind Garden Grove High School. I mean, Lamson's a busy street. It's not, a cul-de-sac or anything where you could do this. And then they turn around an hour later, park again, in the middle of the street, westbound, and load the people back up. Don't you have to have a permit for this? For a bus to stop traffic? I would think you would. That was my concern, because I agree with the kids. It is very dangerous out there, because I lived there. I watched the traffic going down there, and they are right. It's very dangerous to walk out there. So that was my concern, something needs to be done about it. They've been told before, they don't really care. They're going to do it, and they don't care. You can go tell them they'd rather plead innocent, that we didn't know, but they knew last year because they've already done this, that they couldn't do it. They were told. I think we talked to Mr. Jones last year. We gave him the pictures last year also. And there's pictures of the bus company's name in there and their licenses to all the buses. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. John Holm. These are the same buses?
Yes, they are, Your Honor. First of all, Your Honor, honorable members of the board, of the council, and the honorable staff, I'm here on exactly the same subject. We have an overflow of conditions from time to time on Lamson Avenue, and this bus issue is really the last straw. We look like downtown Los Angeles on Soto Street. We would like to say this is a serious problem. We'd like to recommend it to the staff that they take a look at it. We went to the Traffic Commission last year, and we also talked to the Planning Commission, and it got quiet for a while, and bingo. These buses are coming. These are 36-foot buses. These are full-size commercial, 3 of them, and they had us blocked up from our residence all the way back to Euclid. It's an issue that we are very concerned with. Please take attention to that. And also, Your Honor, I want to say you're very impressive. You've done a very good job, and I salute you for remembering that we all signed a Pledge of Allegiance to the Constitution of the United States. And I can say that you understand that thoroughly. And as a former Marine, thank you.
Thank you. Julie Nguyen.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. I, Julie Nguyen, is resident of Garden Grove. Major Bảo Nguyễn, I have a question for you. I saw in the OC Weekly your statement when you have is interviewed by the OC Weekly on Thursday, June 29, 2003. That Trần Trường, the guy who was posted the red flag of the Communist Party and the picture of Ho Chi Minh in his store in Bosa in 1999. Your statement was Trần Trường has the right to express his own sentiment. Is it right? One more time in 2014, when you came back from a trip to Vietnam, you were interviewed again by OC Weekly. What do you think about Vietnam? You make a lot of compliment about the communist regime, and they ask you, did you fear when living there? Your answer was, there is nothing to fear there in Vietnam. I felt I sent of freedom that I don't have there. Is it right? Thank you all.
Verla Lambert.
I'm Verla Lambert. I've lived here for 57 years, and I still have problems. I'm here tonight to talk about a slight traffic problem. It has been brought to my attention in our track. We have a few calls from some of our homeowners about the entrance of the in and out of our track. We have quite a unique hairpin turn in going east to turn into the track. And I admit that some of our citizens don't always see the stripe on the road. And it's hard to make that in, and we have a little loop at the end there, which has been observed that some of the hospital employees from Garden Grove Hospital and from Bahia Trailer Park have been parking there. And I have not seen any signage put up. I understand that this is illegal. Tonight as I left, there was already 2 cars parked in this circle, room for 2 more. And it does make it hard to come in and out of our track at that point because the streets are small. You can't have two-way traffic and have cars parked on both sides along with the weekends yard sales that are there. And I would like to have that monitored for a while. I don't expect you to go out tomorrow and stick up a sign. I want it monitored, I want it done right, and if it's legal, fine. But we only have one way in and one way out into our track, and it needs to, quote, be done safely. We also, our route through that track takes us to the walk bridge over the 22 freeway where the children, large children, older children who know better, can walk to San Diego High School. So let's also keep that in mind for this safe route for schools that I've seen talks here about today. If I knew how to fix it, I'd be sitting in one of these chairs, and I don't know how to do it. So, but I do know right from wrong. And I do want to say, in my opinion, of our sister city incident here, or however strongly you feel about a letter being wrote to Riverside, Garden Grove doesn't need to write a letter. Each citizen that has this strong feeling needs to write a letter. Can you imagine the impact that would have on Riverside? Thank you.
Thank you. Kim Ngo, please. Kim Ngo. Okay. Maureen Blackman.
Hello, Council. I'm Maureen Blackman. I think you know my address. I'm going to keep it brief because I think 5 minutes is way too long, especially when the crowd is full. I think we could dial that down to 3 minutes when there's more than 20 people in the room. Real quick, I just wanted to say that there was a recent sighting of Mr. Sheldon and the development on Grove Street. I understand he's met with mayor and staff. And as I had said in my email this week, is that I don't think the residents need to sleep with one eye open for the rest of our lives with that parking lot. I'd like to know if we have any projects in the future that's planned, and if we do, if we could bring them out, I'd appreciate that. And I'd love to see something done with the Galleria. I understand we're getting very close. I'd really like to have not just one or two members of staff weigh in on that. I'd really like to see if we could have a good consensus and get that thing put together. I'm going to keep it brief. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Charles Mitchell.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and staff. First, I'd like to address the issue of the city of Riverside. I want to commend Councilman Jones on his comment about the fact that it would not be proper for one city to advise another on what they should do. Also, Mayor Nguyen, I agree with your comment that it's not right for one city to advise another city. However, in regards to the issue of the letter, now if that letter was signed by individuals expressing their disdain for the city of Riverside's action, I heartily agree, as long as it was signed as individuals and not as something from the city itself. In that situation, I'd sign the letter myself. Recently, we lost another veteran. Ted Marinos was a Marine who served in World War II and served again in Korea. He was well known to us at the Freedom Committee that meets in Costa Mesa. These are veterans who go out to the schools and talk to the kids about their experiences, where they get actual one-on-one question and answer with someone who was there, instead of what they read in books, which nowadays is becoming less and less for them to understand our history. So I would ask that the mayor close this meeting in honor of Ted Marinos.
Ms. Norinos?
Marinos.
Thank you.
It's Greek. Now, with apologies to the people here, who doesn't like chili? I think we all, at one time or another, have devised our own recipes for chili. It's an American custom. It's a lot of fun. And there's an opportunity this Saturday for anyone who wants to make their own chili and see how it fares against other people and their chili. I welcome them to the American Legion post on Beach Boulevard. We are having a chili cook-off. It starts at 9 o'clock. Bring your own ingredients. Can't prepare it at home. You've got to make it there. There'll be facilities to cook it. And the sign-up is at 9 o'clock. The cooking starts at 10, and the tasting starts at noon. And you can come and buy samples of all the chilies that are being prepared. There's entertainment that is provided by the Z-Bops. That'll go on from noon to 4 o'clock. And I urge the fire department, police department, and any individuals who are interested to sign up for this event. It's a lot of fun, and I think you'll really enjoy it. The phone number to reach the post is 714-893-9525, and I'll leave a card with the secretary. Thank you.
Thomas Fan.
Chúng tôi là Thomas Phan, là cư dân Orange County.
He said his name is Phan Kỳ Nhân and he is a resident of Orange County.
Và lời nói đầu tiên của chúng tôi là chúng tôi rất cảm ơn ông phó thị trưởng và ba nghị viên trong thành phố Garden Grove.
He said the first he like to thank three of councilmen and the Major Pro Tem.
Đối với ông thị trưởng Nguyễn Bảo thì chúng tôi có 3 vấn đề xin nêu. Thứ nhất, với tư cách là một tổ chức đấu tranh, chúng tôi chưa hề nói Riverside là cộng sản.
He say with his organization, he have a question to Mr. Mayor that his organization never say the city of Riverside is the communist.
Điều thứ hai là lời của ông thị trưởng Nguyễn Bảo có nói là sau 40 năm vẫn còn hận thù. Điều này rất sai lầm. Thay vì câu nói này, khi ông Nguyễn Bảo về Việt Nam nói với Đảng Cộng sản thì đúng hơn.
He said the word, the sentences that Mr. Mayor has said that for after 40 years we still have animosity against communists. This should be say, go back to Vietnam and say that to Communist Party better.
Tại sao? Vì tôi chứng minh để ông thị trưởng Nguyễn Bảo thấy tới giờ phút này mà Đảng Cộng sản Việt Nam vẫn còn trưng bày hình ảnh tội ác của Mỹ ngụy. Và cái thứ hai rất là đau lòng là đối với chiến binh của Việt Nam Cộng Hòa, thương phế binh của Việt Nam Cộng Hòa, Đảng Cộng sản đối xử một cách tàn nhẫn và vô nhân đạo.
Well, he say at this moment and at that present, in Vietnam they still have a picture of all the picture that related to the war, accuse the United States and South Vietnamese of the war criminals, and also have what did you say? He said also they treat the disabled South Vietnamese veteran is really really bad. And anything else?
Do đó chúng tôi cũng xin nêu lên để ông thị trưởng thấy rằng tất cả những cuộc đấu tranh ở hải ngoại không phải vì thù cá nhân, họ đã giam giữ mình tù tội hay là cướp đoạt tài sản vân vân, mà là vì 90 triệu của nhân dân Việt Nam đang trong bị sự chèn ép, đàn áp, dập tắt tiếng nói của người dân, không có tự do và dân chủ.
Well, the moment against the communists in Vietnam, not because that animosity against them, but because the 90 million of people don't have freedom of the voice, so to say, and under the communist, oppression. So that's why we never, he said, his organization never have, fight because the animosity against any particular communist member, but at the whole other party.
Đối với ông thị trưởng thì chắc chắn là người Việt tị nạn cộng sản với lý lịch đó và thế hệ thứ hai, chúng tôi rất kỳ vọng. Nhưng ông thị trưởng hãy trở về với cội nguồn của dân tộc, của người Việt tị nạn cộng sản. Mà cội nguồn dân tộc đó là đâu? Thì phải nói thẳng là điển hình là song thân của ông thị trưởng. Người đã sáng suốt và rời bỏ chế độ cộng sản năm 54 để vào miền Nam sinh sống. Và sau 75 cũng không chấp nhận chế độ cộng sản, phải vượt biên để giờ này định cư tại Hoa Kỳ.
Well, he say with Mr. Mayor, he the Vietnamese refugee, and he should recognize where his original came from. And he said the Mr. Bảo Nguyễn parent very smart. They recognize the communist, regime. They escaped 1954, and then again they escaped in 1975, and your time expired.
Thank you, Mr. Long Phan.
Cảm ơn quý vị.
Dr. Long Phan. Okay. Mr. Tony Flores.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. My name's Tony Flores. Let me pass out a couple of things here for you. That's for you. Well, good evening. I'm going to talk a little bit about this Burns letter that was submitted regarding the Barlag Broadwater deal, scandal, scheme, whatever you want to call it. It really doesn't address the hiring of Mr. Barlag. It doesn't address the vetting process of the application for younger Broadwater. It doesn't address the details of the management partner, so the report, the one that Mr. Fertel had ordered. People seem to forget that the former fire chief resigned. He resigned, all right? He wasn't right about fired or whatever he is saying in his letter. He resigned. It's unless the papers got it wrong and we've misunderstood, he resigned. It's interesting because there's not really an issue of nepotism, nor is it an issue of a public gift of a gift of public monies. That's not what the issue is. We're talking some other things here, things that you should be aware of. And I'm sure you are aware, since there's actually a criminal investigation going on at the DA's office. Talks about the allegations of the violations of the Brown Act and allegations of violations of the penal code, municipal code, government code. For example, bribery, coercion, extortion, embezzlement, theft, potential RICO and state, federal RICO and state RICO. You guys need to take a look at what that actually means. I know you know what it means, Mr. Fan, because you're now recusing yourself, but yet you've been involved in the decision-making process. There was an article that said that you talked about a consensus that was taken, not a vote, but a consensus in the direction of to give Mr. Fertel. Vote, consensus, give it any name you want. You're responsible for it. And you, Mr. Bui, we had a chance to talk too before the elections. Not your fight. The Barlag Broadwater deal was not your fight. A matter of public dollars is not your fight, really? I thought the people of Vietnam were trying to escape that kind of thinking. It's a criminal investigation that's going on. You folks need to take this a little more seriously. If we're going to talk about what's going on as far as the Asian community, let's get a little bit into some details. Most of you folks are probably aware of a few years ago. It's my understanding that an audit was done in the Asian community where most of the Asian businesses aren't paying their fair share of taxes. That's un-American. Heck, it's damn near communism when you think about it. Let's find out what's going on with that. Take another look at it, see where because it exists. Take a peek at it. I believe the Vietnamese community leadership has actually missed the boat, missed an opportunity to join us as Americans. We're Americans first. When our homes flooded in West Garden Grove in '95, I didn't see the Asian community here crying about that, or the appointments over the years. The sound wall that we were promised in 1966 that we didn't get till 2000, 1966. I know some of you folks were busy back then, but still, it took us years to get that. The sewer, water, and trash fees. There's potential violations, I believe, of California Constitution 13D. Can't charge for more what the actual services is costs us. I don't see anybody protesting about that. The last meeting, we had folks here that were saying that three out of the five are Asians, that you represent them. Well, I think they got that wrong. Now, if I go with that logic, then I'm not represented. People with my last name, Hispanics, Latinos, whatever name you're giving us these days, then I'm not represented. But I do want to say, I'm going to borrow from a comedian, George Lopez. I defy anybody to show me on the world map where Hispania is at. No? You guys seen that one? No. Doesn't exist, does it? So I think we need to move in and a little closer look at what's going on here and pay attention to what's going on at home. I said it last time and I'll say it again. And I think Mr. Nguyen, our Mayor Nguyen, in this particular issue regarding the Riverside deal, I think you've stood your ground. I think you've made your point, and I think you're earning some respect. Now, we may not agree on every issue, but I think the citizens in the Asian community need to take a look at the United States Constitution. Yeah, just like maybe you folks don't like me showing up here, and maybe I didn't vote for some of you, you're still the local government. And I've dealt with the local, state, and federal government. And I haven't dealt with it from a Hispanic or Latino or Mexican point of view. I've dealt from a taxpayer, an American taxpayer point of view. Pure and simple. I've given you all a copy of the 1997 memo regarding the harassment discrimination that was done in the Garden Grove Police Department back then, under that leadership. I haven't heard a lot of protests from the Asian community about that. Men and women harassed and discriminated against, okay? But yet, when you look at that, it's lost. We can't find it. There's two memos there, one from the then city manager and one from the then police chief that says that those memos exist. But when you look at 2011 letters from the city of Garden Grove, it doesn't exist. So here's what I'm going to ask. According to the newspaper, 4 of you signed that letter to the city of Riverside. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Now, there's not a lot of me here, just one of me. I'm not presenting. Let me just finish this.
Please wrap it up.
But I'm going to ask the 4 of you that signed that letter, maybe you can sign a letter to the city of Riverside asking them to help you find that harassment discrimination study, and we can move on. Thank you. Thank you.
I think Leanne Dulcer, she spoke earlier, right? With the Garden Grove High School? Okay. Bill Sellen?
Good evening, Council, Mayor. I'm inspired by your youth that came forth and talked about the safety of pedestrian and bicycle traffic in Garden Grove. Garden Grove's a wonderful place to be and share your roads. I represent the Orange County Bicycle Coalition, and we just wanted to come forth and offer our support, our experience, our assistance to Garden Grove in any way that we can.
I'm sorry, sir. I hate
Yes.
to do this. Please stop. Sergeant at Arms, please. There are some folks here that are disrupting our meeting. Please take their conversation outside. This is the 3rd time that I had to stop a speaker. Please continue.
Thank you. I understand you're working toward your master plan, specifically the ways that active transportation and compliance with the complete streets is going to be impacted in a city that's built out. And really want to urge you to recognize the vehicle code, which expects bicycles to actually be on the roadway. And wherever possible, consider stenciling down the shared use sharrows. You've got lots of streets that are 35-mile-an-hour speed limits and not much room to squeeze in a bike lane. An inferior bike lane that's not up to standards makes it very dangerous and encourages people to do edge riding, which tends to put us out of the line of traffic. Cyclists in traffic are seen and dealt with. Some people may be frustrated with us not being as fast, but people that are on the edge of the road are not being seen at all, and when you're inconsequential, you're invisible as a bicyclist. So edge riding behavior really needs to be addressed by good infrastructure. I encourage Garden Grove to take an active role in educating and enforcing motorists to make sure they understand that there are plenty of human beings on our roadways that are very vulnerable road users, and owning a car does not give you any less responsibility to slow down and share the road safely. And similarly, to take action to educate and enforce the bicyclists. Riding in the wrong direction is a primary cause of accidents and conflicts, and obviously obeying the vehicle code as a bicyclist is an important lesson that both the police department and planners and designers can get behind. Thank you for your time.
Sherry Rodriguez? Oh, thanks. Nithya Sanchez spoke earlier. Jean-Baptiste Jung Kwang Si.
Good evening, councilmen and the mayor, the staff, and all the people attending today. It is bother for me to be stand here, even though I am the resident of Garden Grove. My address is 92612 Avenue. I've been in the United States 58 years. I spent, after the surrender to the communists, for 39 years, 10 months, and 4 days. I've been graduate from the Air Force Academy with honor graduate. I've been service as a representative for MACV Intelligence for 10 years of my life in service. It surprised me. We are all American. I've been in Deep South in 1957. You know what Deep South means? The separations between the people and the people. But I feel it's nothing. But when I come here, I listen to the councilman, Chris, maybe Steve Jones, Chris Fang, and Fat Boy. Recently, my amigo accusing directly to the councilman. That is very impolite, I want to say. We are the people in the United States. Everything difference we consider we can solve. For example, Bao Nguyen, when I was in the United States, maybe your fathers and your mothers not born yet. And you are luckily, I'm fighting. I'm national chairman of the World Anti-Communist League. On this 2nd May in 1957, up to this day, I still fighting against the communism. I do not hate them, but I ignored it. I'm very sympathetic to them because they've been no school almost their life. When they took over Vietnam in 1975, they treat their own relative, the same family, as a slave. You and other generation must go back to Vietnam and talk to them. Go to Richmond to meet the rich story and see General Lee. Even he the loser. The winners still salute them and respect them and build a country. The cemetery in Pittsburgh, they honor the both friends and enemy until last year. So why we still consider that hatred? When you say that for 40 years, why you not forget about that? Still fine? No. You must say that to the communists in Vietnam. Hey, commie, you better forget about the revenge. All the Vietnamese people are loving you. We do not hate you, but we hate the communism system. I've been in Russia. I've been quite a few countries in Russia. The Russian taught in the university, but their university closed the door inside. I've been there. Even I am anti-communist. Today, I would like to check with you, Mr. Bao Nguyen. Your name is very good. Translation from Vietnam to US, you had a precious names. Bao. What? You know what I mean, right?
It means, yes.
Nguyen is the dignity of one of the king. Why you treat ourselves not equally? 4 of your colleagues signed the letter to Riverside, but not you. You think that's fair? I hope that this is the last time I stand in here with the U.S. medal, with Vietnamese medal. I'm proud to be an American, but I never forget that my name is Trương Quang Sĩ. Thank you.
Lisa Kim. Lisa Kim, Dr. Bill Grant. There, Lisa Kim, Dr. Bill Grant. No? Dr. Long Pham. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, member of the council. My name is Long Pham. I'm a member of, I'm a resident of Fun Valley, but like I mentioned last time, I feel like I'm a Garden Grove resident. You heard a lot of people say that, Happy New Year, but I have a problem with that. I didn't have a Happy New Year because in the last council meeting, although I disagree with the mayor, when a lot of people talked to him in the hallway, I didn't, because I heard you say that, the city shouldn't interfere with the other city. And I disagree with that, but I respect your position.
And a lot of people criticize me for not saying anything. I told them, look, he's a man of principle. I respect that, although I disagree with him. But the problem that I have is that, during the new year, a lot of the Vietnamese people from outside of the state call me and saying that, did you see that on TV? They're seeing what? They point out to me that there's a handsome young man on TV with the title Mayor of Garden Grove stood up somewhere in Santa Ana and advocate for immigration issue, siding with the president and disagree with the one of the federal judges. I say, wow, what's wrong with that? It looks like that the mayor is having a double standard. You don't want to interfere with the other city when you want to interfere with the federal government. The U.S. Constitution actually saying that immigration belongs to federal. If Congress already talk about that, if they already vote on that, the same thing like a city of Riverside vote on one of the issue that for the person on the council agree, and you disagree simply by saying that because you don't want to interfere with the other city, but then you want to interfere with the federal government. To me, Mr. Mayor, that is a dishonesty. And then on another issue, when you use the political power of the mayor to punish a reporter on something that you actually say outside, and simply because you rely on that, that is outside, there's no DVD, there's no tape, there's no record. You deny that, and by denying it, you're lying, and you use your lying statement, you force the employer of the reporter, punish him, you force them to issue a apology statement. Why are you doing that? That's so low. That's a dishonesty. Not only that, your action of using the power to punish the reporter is exactly similar to the power that the communist government in Vietnam, they punish their own people. Shame on you. Mr. Mayor, if the people of Garden Grove ever recall you, I don't think they recall you because you signed or you didn't sign the letter to Riverside, but they recall you because you are a dishonest person. You are unfit for public service. Thank you.
The last person was it Kim Ngo? No, Lisa Kim.
Good evening. I'm here for item 9B, so I don't know if that's in order or not in order, but
Please.
okay, I guess I have the floor now. Honorable Mayor and Councilman, I'm Lisa Kim. I'm the General Counsel of Cathay Bank. Thank you for allowing me to speak before the City Council today and staff. We submitted a letter briefly to describe the historical background on the property located at 10800 and 10180 Garden Grove Boulevard. Cathay Bank, we are the current lender on the leasehold interest of the property. I will spare you the background since you all have that letter. Until the end of last year, Cathay Bank was firmly and rightfully believed we had a qualified developer ready to re-break the ground and start putting a structure up there. And we understand that it's an eyesore to everybody in all the surrounding neighborhoods, and so we're doing as much as we can to expedite the program. Anyway, since January of this year, I overtook basically overseeing the project and making sure we get a developer out there who can build a structure that's going to be feasible and pleasing to the appealing to the city. To date, the Hope Foundation, who is a landlord or the fee owner of the property, and Cathay have been working together to tirelessly provide a developer or a buyer who is qualified to build a project, the structure on this. To date, we've met with Brook Street Developers, Advanced Real Estate, Banyan Tree Enterprises, Brandywine Homes, the Pacern Group, and Lion Developers. So, and we also want to demonstrate that we've even committed to even looking at it from the County of Orange County Social Services, who decided this wasn't the right project, but we looked at all avenues to get somebody there. Today we have Brook Street, who's actually submitted an LOI for the construction, and I think we're going to try to do it with the existing structure in place without too much of a of a change in the plan as currently presented. So please bear in mind that we're seeking the City Council's stay on the current demolition order that was issued in July of 2014. Whether you decide to take the order and demolish it or not, you know at some point, someone's going to have to build something up there. And you might as well have something that's structured-wise, and then we'll start building as soon as we can. We respectfully request that the city take into consideration that given the progress that we're trying to make now, that you would stay the order. In return, you will have Cathay Bank's commitment to build on that site as structured as originally contemplated as possible. Due diligence for the project is ongoing with approximately about 45 to 60 days for these parties. We can't commit to you a timeline today. We understand what the staff report said, but we can't commit to it because we are in the process of vetting these developers who will actually build a feasible plan. So we believe that it's going to be a continuous process, and we will draw closer each day as the issuance of entitlements we will go to the city and work closely with the city staff and our city manager here, and then we'll have a better idea to come back to you and say, hey, this is the project we're looking at, and we want your unanimous approval on it. So we will definitely build, and our commitment is to the city of Garden Grove that we'll build a feasible and a value-added project that will be built on it as structurally as possible and something that you'll be very proud of. Thank you very much.
Okay, any more comment cards out there? Okay, let's move on with our agenda. Anybody want to respond? I know we had a lot spoken tonight, and I know that our Mr. Roeder has been taking copious notes over there, but I want to give this opportunity to my colleagues, and if you want to respond to anything. Oh, okay, let's move on. Councilmember Bowie?
Yes, I would like to respond to, I think even though there are quite a few, there's a lot of people,
Excuse me,
comment.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, yes.
Kim was out in the hallway.
Oh.
So she didn't.
Okay, is she here now? Okay. Okay, hold that thought, sir. Please. Ms. Kim Ngo?
Hi, my name is Kim Ngo. I'm from Westminster by watching on the news. I just have my opinion. I'd like to say hi to all the members of the Garden Grove. We here, I'm not represent only Vietnamese, but American. I'm here to fight for the freedom. We escaped from the communists. So I'm not, I look at Bao, I was supporting him. I just hope that he's gonna support our view to fight for the freedom. I don't believe that Bao belong to or support the communist regime. I know that you got the position now. So just tell everybody that your view, your true view, even you support the communists. So we know the truth. And if you belong to us, you supporting us to fight for the freedom. And then you show what have you done with us. And I said that even you're a member of the communists, you cannot do anything harmful to this country. Just my view. Thank you.
Councilmember Bowie?
Even though there have been a lot of people come forward and talk today and express their view, I think it's coming down to only a few things that we need to address tonight. But let me start first with the street safety, especially along Garden Grove High School neighborhood. I do understand and empathy with the student and the parent that come here tonight to express their concern. And I also would like to commend Mr. Craig Dudley for his passion and dedication in taking picture flights along our city. It's not an easy thing to do. I applaud you for your dedication, and I understand that you have been following, checking around our city to make sure that the street will be safe for the resident and for the student. So I do agree with the viewpoint that the student from Garden Grove came out here earlier tonight to express, because as the parent for of a student that come to that school, I frequently come to pick up and drop off my son. And I must tell you that we are easily distracted. I myself had one time trying to look for my son that did not notice another student just about to cross the street. And hadn't my wife tried to remind me, God knows what could happen. So I do believe that that street, that there are so many students trying to rush through the street. Sometimes they don't look for us. We were just driving slowly, but they rush through the street, and if we do not pay attention, we could run over them, and it did happen. One of my friend's son, he usually ride a bike to school, and one day he was hit by a car when he tried to cross Euclid. And so I do believe that we need to do something about it. And last meeting, we did ask the staff to talk to the police department to see what else can we do to improve that condition. With regard to Mr. Tony Flores' comment, I find that very unfortunate that he kept sum up that most Vietnamese business does not pay tax. I find that very troubling. Now, of course, in any communities, there are always some business who try to pay as low the tax as they can. But to say that most Vietnamese does not pay tax, I do not buy that at all. And I hope you would allow us to, take a look at that and convince you otherwise. When people here express their view that there are 3 members of this council who are Vietnamese, I think they just try to express the view that perhaps you could also represent us. It doesn't reflect at all that we should not, or we do not represent other communities. We, from time to time, had said that over and over again, that we are here to represent every single resident of the city. The majorities as well as the minority. I do understand the Constitution of the United States very clearly, and that Constitution touched me a great deal. I am so proud of that, because the United States Constitution was founded by our fathers so that it will not only protect the majority but also protect the minorities. Because if the majority will outvote the minorities, then the minority will not be equally and fairly protected. And so I do understand that, and I want to express my commitment to all of you here in this room or at home, that I'm here to serve every communities, every race, every people in this city. With respect to the sister city, oh man, I do not know how and where to begin, but let me say a few things. I do understand and support the viewpoint that one city should not interfere with another city business. However, what we are doing here is not simply interfere the business of another city on the following ground. If it is something that is internally and strictly related to that city alone, I would never ask my council to vote with me on and sign that letter with me. This action by the city of Riverside does cause many pain and does affect the resident of Garden Grove. And that's why I felt that as a representative for many of them here in Garden Grove that are affected by the action of Riverside City, we do need to represent our resident and raise a concern. That's all we ask. We cannot demand Riverside to change their viewpoint or change their action. All we can do is we would like to ask them to listen to other views, get the input, and hopefully would reconsider their action. Whatever they decide, we cannot force them to go left or go right, but we can ask them to reconsider. Now, earlier, Mr. George McIntosh mentioned that even if with the signature of the mayor, and even if the whole council send a letter, it will not change anything. And I agree. We may not be able to persuade Riverside to change their course just simply by sending the letter. But there are right and wrong, and we need to express and stand with the right principle. Mr. McIntosh, allow me to explain to you what the sister city meaning is. There are many other cities in the United States that have taken a stand and do not establish a sister city relationship. Those cities include Irvine, that just listen to the Vietnamese American community input, and not only does not enter the sister relationship, excuse me, with Irvine, not only Irvine do not enter such a relationship with a city in Vietnam, but they go further than that. They did not sign that sister relationship with a city in not Afghanistan, that the nation north of India, I forgot the name, Pakistan. So you see here, there is a universal principle that we do not establish a sister relationship with any city that does not respect human rights, that violate freedom, and embark on human trafficking. Here in United States, Irvine has set their example. Louisville, another major city in Kentucky, also did not agree to establish sister relationship with Haiphong. And Houston in Texas in 2010 also do not agree to establish sister relationship with another city in Vietnam. And so you have seen my action in and my view on this issue, but let me make clear, I have two hats to wear. One hat as a human rights activist, and that I stand with you. I do not need to explain into my thinking. The other hat that I'm wearing here tonight is the hat of a city councilman representing all residents of Garden Grove. And I want to make clear that I do not mix the two together. The reason that I urge my council to send that letter is only because I have heard and I have seen it affecting the quality of life of the resident of Garden Grove, and that's why I felt that it is my duty to express their view. Many of you here are U.S. veterans. Charles Mitchell, you are a veteran. You have heard about post-war syndromes. American soldiers, when they went to war in Iraq, in Afghanistan, returning back from home, 10 years later, even 20 years later, they are still affected by the pain and by the psychology wound that inflicted upon them. The same thing are true with the Vietnamese veterans. They suffer a lot of pain. After 1975, would you imagine the family? They are sent to prison for 10, 15, or even 20 years. The family is shattered. To a few, even their daughter are forced to become a sex slave, to become prostitute. While in prison, they are subject to brutal integration. This action by Riverside City bring back a lot of pain, a lot of hurt. It affects the quality of life, and that is why I believe that this council should at least send a letter to Riverside and recommend them to reconsider. And I think it is duty for us to do that.
Any other members? Okay. No written communications, and we will recess, quote unquote recess, for the successor agency. So we're going to just switch gears here and move into the successor agency. So Chairman Jones.
Thank you. We'll call the February 24th meeting of the Successor Agency to order. Madam Clerk, would you like to call roll?
Excuse me. Member Bowie?
Here.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Member Fawn?
Here.
Vice Chair Beard? Here. Chair Jones?
Here. We already did oral communications simultaneously with City Council, so we'll move on to consent items. Do I have a motion for the balance?
I'll make a motion. Second it.
Call the vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
We have no public hearings, no items for consideration. Any agency-related matters from members?
None here.
See none. We will adjourn directly to the Sanitary District.
Madam Clerk, please call roll.
On my page. Member Bowie?
Here.
Member Jones?
Here.
Member Nguyen?
Yes.
Vice President Beard?
Here.
President Fawn?
Here. We've done oral communications. Let's move to consent items.
Move it.
Second. Call for vote, please.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
No public hearings, no items for consideration. Any matters from the board?
None here.
Seeing none, we'll adjourn and reconvene here on Tuesday, March 24th. Back to council.
Thank you. Let's reconvene our council meeting. We have consent items.
Items 4A through 4G, with 4B being withdrawn, will be acted on simultaneously with one motion unless separate discussion and/or action is requested by a council member.
I'll move the balance.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
We have no public hearings tonight. And do we have any commission committee matters? Mr. Roeder?
Not this evening, although by well-placed rumor, I believe that we have an individual that we will be able to bring before your next meeting for the Main Street Commission.
Oh, yes, I got that. Thank you. All right. 7 items for consideration.
7A is an award of contract to Carl Warren and Company for third-party liability claims administration services, and Ann Eifert is here to give a report.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Nguyen and members of the City Council. The Finance Department oversees the city's self-insured program for its tort and civil liabilities. As part of this program, the city contracts with a third-party administrator specializing in public entity liability to manage these claims. The city receives an average of 125 claims annually. The third-party administrator acts as a city's representative in matters related to the investigation, adjustment, and processing of claims made against the city. They possess the necessary skills and knowledge to effectively work with claimants, staff, and the city attorney's office in order to provide recommendations to the city on the appropriate disposition of claims. The current contract expired in November 2014, and as part of our review process and effort to continually improve our claims process, staff issued a request for proposal to ensure the city receives the best service at a fair price. The city received 5 proposals which were evaluated based on qualifications and experience, project plan, and price. Based on the evaluation results, Carl Warren and Company is rated as the highest scoring firm for the city's claims administration services. The proposed contract term is 3 years with options to renew the contract for 2 additional 1-year terms. The cost for these services is $108,000 annually, or $324,000 for the 3-year term, and is funded through the city's risk management fund. It is recommended that the City Council award a contract to Carl Warren and Company to provide third-party liability claims administration services in the amount not to exceed $324,000 for the 3-year term of the contract, with an option to extend the agreement for 2 additional 1-year terms for a performance period of 5 years, and to authorize the interim city manager to execute the professional services agreement on behalf of the city, and to authorize the interim city manager to execute amendments to the agreement for any options to extend. This concludes my presentation, and staff is available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have a comment. Just a comment. We've had this vendor for the last 5 years.
For the last 5 years.
And we went out to bid because every 5 years we go rebid after that. And this is the same contractor, and we got a pretty good price. That's my point. It's a reputable firm. They've done service for the city well. I say this for the benefit of the audience. So we got better pricing on this agreement, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
I need a motion.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes. Item 7B is adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 5.28 of the Municipal Code pertaining to fireworks stand reports, and Ann Eifert is here to present a report.
Thank you.
Tonight I have before you an ordinance amending Chapter 5.28 of the Municipal Code pertaining to fireworks stand permits. Chapter 5.28 of the Garden Grove Municipal Code regulates the issuance of temporary fireworks stand permits for the sale of safe and sane fireworks before the 4th of July holiday. The chapter allows for tax-exempt organizations located within the city limits and primarily benefiting the Garden Grove community to apply for a permit. The ordinance requires permittees to comply with various provisions of the ordinance and to ensure protection of the public health, safety, and welfare. The proposed revisions will conform sections of Chapter 5.28 to current city practices. These minor changes include allowing more time to process applications, requiring additional information to be provided with a permit application, such as the address of each stand and federal tax identification numbers, deleting obsolete references regarding electrical permits, and updating indemnification and insurance requirements. In addition, the proposed changes will no longer prohibit stands along Catella from Dale to Euclid. The restriction is now unnecessary as the City of Anaheim recently passed an ordinance permitting the sale of fireworks. It is recommended that the City Council introduce and conduct the first reading of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Grove amending Chapter 5.28 of the Garden Grove Municipal Code pertaining to temporary fireworks stand permits. This concludes my presentation, and staff is available to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion received, 5 yes votes.
We do not have any ordinances presented for second reading and adoption. Looks like because 7B1 just passed, we'll hear that next time. We have item 9, matters from the mayor, city council members, and city manager, Mr. Roeder.
Mr. Mayor and City Council, this evening we have two items before you. The first is the follow-up item to the council's direction from January 27th of this year. That request by the council, actually a joint motion, was to bring back to the City Council a status report on the city's current nepotism policy, a legal review of the settlement agreement by and between the city and former Fire Chief Dave Barlag, advisement as to Mr. Barlag's current status as an employee, and results of consultation, I want to stress consultation, with the District Attorney's Office and the Attorney General's Office. I know members of the council have all received the report and the various exhibits to that report. Let me take at this time the opportunity to apologize to you as members of the council and to the public for the delay in Exhibit C to that report, the opinion from Attorney Eleanor Burns on settlement agreement. We did not receive that report until late yesterday, despite Mr. Burns' best efforts to get that to us earlier. It was posted to the website as promptly as received. Mr. Burns has conflict with another public agency's meeting this evening, so he is not available for our meeting tonight, but I have indicated to him that if any of you have any specific questions, I will make sure that those are communicated to him and that he addresses those promptly back to the council and for the public. I also want to make one minor correction for the record about an error on page 1 of the staff report in terms of the adoption of the current nepotism policy. The report states a date of September 9th, 2012. That, in fact, should be the date of adoption, should have indicated September 9th, 2014. Small typo, but important in the context of the time of the sequence of actions. I am happy at Council's desire to either provide you a summary of each element of the report or simply be available to answer questions of the council as you so choose.
Any questions regarding this report? No action needs to be taken on this item.
Mr. Mayor, if I can take advantage, if there are no questions, and because it is an element of this report, and there have been questions raised as to Mr. Barlag's status as public safety officer and what he will be doing. One of the assignments I have given him, that's my responsibility as the supervisor, is to work on the kinds of issues in a coordinating fashion that we heard just this evening relative to public safety in front of Garden Grove High School. That is the kind of project, among several others, that Mr. Barlag will be tasked to pull together, to pull the resources, both through the school district, in the community, and with city departments to address those kinds of concerns. It is not a fire safety issue, it is a public safety issue. So that just simply represents, because you heard it tonight, a good example of an opportunity where we can make use of that position, where we might not otherwise have resources, or we might have to pull public safety resources off of something else to be able to address that. I just wanted to point that out because that is the kind of activity that I want to see, certainly in my time here, to be able to make use of that position and put it to good benefit for the community. And it simply was a coincidence of this report and having high school students here that prompted my raising that, bringing that to your attention and to the public's attention.
I do not have a question, but I have a comment on this subject that I would like to express. I'm very glad that at least the internal review has been complete, and I would like to, ask the city manager office to make sure that anyone from the public and the press would have access to all of this information. And I also would like us to clarify one of the perception that Mr. Balak have resigned. I was not around at that time when he resigned, but I understood that his resignation is a resignation from being the fire chief, not from being employed by the city. Is that correct? He resigned from that post.
That is my
And
understanding.
to be reassigned to a different position, but not to quit the employment with the city. Is that correct?
That is my understanding. I will defer to Mr. Nixon if there's any correction of that understanding.
That is correct.
And if that is the case, because member of the public still do not, I believe that some still may not have understood that clearly and may interpret that as he resigned from the city employment. And so could you please clarify that and make that known?
Yes, sir. And to simply amplify again, all of the materials, and we insisted that this be the case, all of the materials that were prepared for this report are available to the public, up to and including the legal opinion from Mr. Burns, and we specifically asked that it be written so it could be available for the public.
Thank you. So I want to share some comments on the report. I've taken a look at it. I've read the attorney, Mr. Burns's report, and basically it is a legal analysis with a very limited scope. It's not an investigation, and I want to ask that all those who are contacted by the district attorney's office to please cooperate with the district attorney's investigation. That investigation is ongoing. Folks in the community deserve to know full transparency of what has occurred and why this settlement has come into place. So what Mr. Burns has done is he's considered two specific questions in his legal analysis. And I would have to say that the facts are very limited too. It's probably based on not interviewing a lot of parties involved in this particular case that the district attorney is investigating. So there are two particular legal analysis, and those 2 points is one, and please view for yourself online, the settlement of the potential litigation sufficient for consideration. So is there a legal consideration? And B, is the agreement supported by the consideration of Barlag's providing special services as the city's public safety administration officer? So, and it also talks a little bit about the Brown Act, and it has a 3-point conclusion. So it does cite a lot of legal cases to justify his analysis. It's kind of academic, actually. So it took me a while. I had to read it a couple times, or some parts 3 times or more, to be honest. But I did read it, and let's be patient with the district attorney's office as we continue to wait and see what we hear back from the district attorney. Any other comments from members? Okay.
Well, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
Excuse me, may I ask, City Manager, could you just summarize what is the summary of our outside counsel relationship to, what was his findings? What was his summary? Can you just summarize that?
Ostensibly, the summary by Mr. Burns and his analysis, and the mayor's correct, it is academic, but that is his responsibility as legal counsel is to provide you the case law and bring you forward on that. But the basic conclusions of that report was that the settlement agreement itself is a legal valid document, that the agreement with Mr. Barlag is a legal document in terms of the settlement that the city has entered into him with in terms of compensating him for the work to be provided under that agreement. It also goes on and touches briefly on the process, the settlement or the closed session process. And I don't have the specific letter in front of me, but specifically talks about the fact that the Brown Act was substantially complied with, and there was transparency in identifying that there was potential litigation with Mr. Barlag and a settlement agreement. Now, those are, as always, judgment calls, but that was the specific elements of his report.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Any other comments on 9A? Okay, 9B.
Mr. Mayor? Sure. If I could, if it wouldn't, just so that, because sometimes these things come up later on, could I ask the council for a motion to simply receive and file the report? Just so that there's an acknowledgement you've received it, it's been
Sure.
presented.
Do we have a
and
mo-
it's
I'll move
put
that.
into the public
Okay.
file.
I second it.
Please vote.
Most received, 5 yes votes.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Sometimes these things come back and take on a life of their own and nobody can remember where it came from. The next item, this council requested a review of the options for the Lotus Plaza project, Galleria project located at 180 and 10180 Garden Grove Boulevard. That was requested at your meeting of February 20th. And staff was asked to bring back to the council some options to address the currently existing steel structure on the property, and I think the intent was to either see the project move forward under construction or to have that structure removed. Staff has done, in my judgment, an excellent job in providing you as a council and the public a timeline for that site. That goes back, and this is all not construction time, but project discussion going back from 2004 through the present. I should note that prior to the City Council's direction on this item, we did have a meeting scheduled with the Hoag Foundation, Cafe Bank, and city representatives. That meeting was scheduled and conducted on February 13th to discuss the status of the site. In my opinion, the attendance of the representatives from the foundation and the bank at that meeting and the very direct and very deliberate conversation we had was probably some of the better discussion that's been had on that site in some months. I was impressed by the fact that they followed through on a commitment that they made at that meeting to provide correspondence to you as City Council. That is part of this agenda packet relative to their particular positions and what their interests are. Those letters have also been made available to members of the public for their inspection. Before going into any detail and answer any questions that the council may have, I would like to ask Development Services Director Susan Emery to summarize for you kind of what lies ahead, if I can, in terms of the site planning and required approvals. And I asked Susan to do this because I think all of us would like nothing better than to see construction start up back out there next week. And it's a little bit more complicated than that. Alternatively, we might also like to see the structure start coming down next week. And it's a little bit more complicated than that. So I'd defer to Susan to kind of summarize and put this in context.
Thank you, Mr. Roeder. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. In the report that you have in your packet, there are 4 different options. I'm going to summarize these options for you. I've kind of combined options 3 and 4 together that deal with the demolition of the structure. So under the first option, and this would be the most expedient choice, this option would be that a proposal would conform to the current zoning code, and they would use the existing structure. So right now, we don't have anything in place for this. But if the property owner and the bank submitted a site plan, this would be the fastest path to get something done if it met the current zoning and used the structure. There are still actions required of this option. They would need to submit a site plan. We need to review the site plan. There would be a development agreement, some kind of environmental review that would be required. If they submitted that today, which we know they're not going to be, but if they did, it would take approximately 4 to 6 months to get it through the city process for all the required hearings. They would be required to go through plan check, building plan check, to make sure their plans were structurally sound, and then they'd have to pull permits for construction. So theoretically, if they did that now, today, it would be a year before they would even start construction. So that's your best case scenario. The second case scenario is that they would want some kind of an adjustment of the zoning code that would also result in a general plan amendment. I think you saw that with the tri-millennium in the timeline that Aaron summarized. Those were actions that would have been required of the last tri-millennium project, whether they submit something different or any other kind of change of the zoning. This is probably the second best, most expedient option, but when we do a general plan amendment, we have noticing requirements. This is particularly to the Native Americans regarding historical sites. So that adds on to the time frame. So we would be looking at from a year to a year and a half, depending on how the noticing would go for that. Either of these also would probably require some kind of analysis of the steel skeleton, as we call it here, for structural integrity. So that would be a component that is important. We have done that in the past, but that would probably be something we'd want to look at again. Options 3 and 4 here, I sort of combined them regarding the demolition of the structure. So in this case, they could just completely clear the site, and then depending on what they propose for the site could require legislative actions if they wanted to change the zoning or the general plan. If they just decided we're starting all over again and rethinking what we're looking at. If they pick something that was dramatically different from what was done in the past, it could require a lot more extensive environmental review, even up to an environmental impact report. That alone is a process that can take approximately a year. So then we would add on to that the time to remove the steel frame and the concrete, which I asked our building official today, and in a best case scenario for that, it's 2 to 3 months for that process. So if they go that route, we could be looking at a year and a half to 2 years possibly to get going with that. So there are a couple other issues I wanted to mention that play into this. When we adopted the general plan in 2008 and consequently the mixed-use zoning in 2012, one of the reasons we went with mixed use, the original project that came in, the very first mixed-use project proposed was by the Hoag Foundation with the Galleria. We had not done mixed use in the past, and their timing was important from the standpoint of the state had adopted SB 275, which is considered the Sustainable Communities and Climate Protection Act, and we had to show that we were reducing transportation vehicle trips to deal with climate protection. And mixed use is a way, approving that in your general plan and your zoning code is a way to show compliance to the state. So we, in adopting mixed use in our general plan and in our zoning code, we're showing the state in our adoption of those that we were looking to comply with SB 275. So the timing was very good on our part to approve the Galleria project and to approve the mixed-use general plan and zoning to show compliance with larger state goals. If we change and go back from mixed use to more residential, that's an issue that's out there that we might want to think about. The other is, and I don't know a lot about this legislation, I will in a couple months. I'm going to hear a presentation on it. But another recently enacted legislation was SB 743, which also promotes mixed-use developments. And the intention, again, is to reduce vehicle trips by encouraging public public transit, bicycle lanes, pedestrian travel, all of those which mixed use helps to enhance. So when we look at alternatives to the Galleria site, in addition just to what the current market conditions are, we also want to weigh in context these larger legislation issues that have been affecting our general plan and our zoning as well. So that's all I have, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
First of all, I would like to know whether the Hope member of the Hope Foundation will be here or not. And what about Cathay Bank? Okay, so could I ask you to come up here, member from the Hope Foundation, to see if you have any? Can you comment on? Do you see anything in the pipeline as far as other developers that might come in to try to redevelop this?
Thank you. My name is Bill Grant, Dr. Grant. I'm a veterinarian here in Garden Grove and been in Garden Grove for 60 years. I am representing the Hoag Foundation on this as president of the Hoag Board. I think you have a lot of the history of how we got to this point. It has been very trying to try to solve this problem. I will say that the Hoag Board strongly supports the project, that we're working with Cathay. We have not been closer at any point in time than we are today. I know that there's a lot we've asked and worked with the city staff. I also thought we had a great meeting about a week ago, and to answer your question as far as where are we with developers, we've met with 4 or 5 developers. There's a list, I believe Cathay has, of 7. We're trying to get to a short list of 3. Hopefully we can do that in a fairly short period of time. Just the discussion that we had, not to get into a lot of specifics that the city did, brought up, but we did talk about a 12/31/15 drop dead date. Basically, we would have plans moving forward, changes in the timeline, try to get this project underway at that point. But we have had interest. It's been good interest. I think there will be 2 or 3 really viable options that we will have.
Mr. Grant, I have a question regarding these developers. Are these developers that you're in conversation with, I guess, with Cathay as well? If you're more than welcome to answer.
I think Lisa's probably.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. Yes, so regarding the developers that you're in conversation with now, are these developers interested in continuing the original plan that was passed?
It's a good question. You raise a very good question. In fact, we have received from one of the very highly interested developer. We don't have plans yet, but we received a letter of intent expressing that they want to build on the existing structure and use the original plans as close as possible to what was originally contemplated at the site. So we will be looking at their plans, and we'll be looking at maybe 1 or 2 more other developers to make sure that we all work together. It makes the foundation happy to have a tenant of that caliber. It makes Cathay Bank just happy to be able to fulfill a mission on this property. So yes, we do have someone that we are very close in talks with right now.
Because my concern here is that if it's not the original plan that was passed, then we'd have to come to council. You have to go through a very long process, and we would also have to hear from the public as well. And I'll be very clear. I don't think that having high-density housing or all housing on that site is a good thing, considering the location. So we've heard that from people.
Right.
We've heard that from the community, and I'm echoing that concern.
And I think we have a really good conversation last week with the city, we expressed our concerns from the developers who've expressed their concerns about the retail component. But given the hurdles that we probably have to go through in order to, get to where some of the developers may want, we're going to have to look at it again and say maybe we will have to work with the mixed-use component. I mean, we can't commit to anything in terms of what can we get for you, but we won't have that density as TMH had originally proposed, or the second developer who's proposed. But the first developer had proposed, I believe, 66 condominium units. The second developer proposed 160 or 150, so that density was too high for anyone to really swallow. So we're going to look to go back to the original plans, and I think there is actually a market for that now that it was maybe when they originally had planned it in 2008.
Let me ask you this. I do not know whether you sense the urgency here from the resident. We have been waiting 9.5 years to resolve this, and I will not feeling comfortable granting another years or 2 years just to try to see if we can solve the problem or not. So I believe whether or not this is high density or low density or high end condominium, I don't think that is the issue that the resident of Garden Grove need to address at this time. What we want to know is assurance from Hope and Cathay that if we grant a little bit more times, that we will have a very high possibility that it will work and it will move forward. No other chance of we try the best. Trying the best is not it's not good a good excuse, right? We want to see not to accuse you of not trying to solve this. I understand this is a complex issue, but the bottom line is it has been standing there for 9.5 years, and we need to solve it. So I do not know whether you know the pipeline, you know your developer. So you have to convince us that this time at this 23rd hours, something is about to happen for us to grant you, consider granting you some more times.
Mr. Roeder, does the city have any options to have these assurances in place? What can the city do? What can the city enact to?
Mr. Mayor and City Council, let me let me turn that question over and talk about it more in the context of incentives for the process to move along more quickly, as opposed to talking about disincentives or
the
things,
carrot or the stick, right?
Yeah, or actions that the city may take. I happen to be of the professional judgment that if this council is of a mind to grant an extension, we do have a notice and order pending, that if you are of a mind to grant an extension or extensions, that there is something that you as a city council and this community should receive in exchange for granting that extension. There is a process there, and I think that that can be fair and it can be reasonable, and I'm not talking about charitable contributions or things of that nature. What I'm really talking about are certain warranties and guarantees by the parties at interest here that in fact they are going to meet certain checkpoints and certain milestones and certain deadlines through the course of this process. I'm uncomfortable with just saying a deadline of the December 31st of 2015 and we wait and check back on that date and kind of see where things are. It will be Groundhog Day all over again if we approach it from that standpoint. And I think the parties at interest feel the same way. So my suggestion to you would be to task us to set milestones over the course of that time if the council's willing to consider an extension, that we set milestones, that we set standards for ourselves, and that we set consequences with those milestones. That, I think, can be best done if the council's of a mind for us to schedule a closed session so we can discuss that with you, obtain some direction from this council, and then have us subsequently meet both with the Hug Foundation and with Cafe Bank, see what we can structure to bring back that warrants your consideration as well as that of the community.
Well, I do not even feel that I'm ready to grant the extension tonight. I have not seen anything from Cathay Bank and the Hope Foundation and the developers to come before the council to say, we are close to an agreement, and so please give us an extension. I have not seen any argument at all that would allow me to grant the extension. So if you ask me tonight, I would tend to have to deny the extension. But realize that we all want this to become successful. So I'm willing to give, Cathay Bank and Hope an opportunity. And that will not be December 15. I would like you to come back here soon to convince the council that the extension is worthwhile for us to consider. And then we will set the milestone and monitor that. But at this point, if we need to decide tonight, I would have to vote no. I had expect you to come here and convince us tonight, but I haven't heard that argument. So I would encourage you to give us a date and time when you can come to the council again and outline and try to convince us, why should we give you the extension?
Can I ask what, like, City Council, what would you deem necessary for that? What kind of information would you like to see from us?
Well, the thing that I would need is I have been, and the residents of this city have been through this roller coaster many times. Starting from 2008 or 2009, we heard that, wow, a developer is about to agree on a project, and so we get our hope. Oh, okay, so maybe we'll get that thing moving soon. And then a years passed by, 2 years passed by, we didn't see anything. And then when I remember in 2011, I was chairman of the Planning Commission, and I asked staff, what's going on with the Galleria? And I was told that, wow, a deal is close to materialize. And then nothing happened. So this time, at the 23rd hour, for us to grant an extension, we need to have reasonable fact to feel that we will not go through that roller coaster one more time.
Thank you. I think that we definitely feel the frustration with the public, and I think Mr. Roeder's recommendation, and if legal counsel can let us know to if we're able to schedule that closed session at the next meeting and that's admissible, what are the parameters of our discussion with that closed session?
Well, one potential option for a closed session for the City Council would be to consider the potential initiation of litigation with regard to taking action, perhaps to enforce the notice and order, or look at other legal options that may be available for the city to institute to pursue a solution. Most of those would be directed to taking down the facility. I would just suggest at the same time, in light of Mr. Roeder's discussions in the meeting that we all had, that before we have that closed session, that we as staff can continue to work with both Cathay and Hogue to develop and hopefully receive any additional information that might show the alternative course of action. That might be
Absolutely, and that is a motion that I will move as it is tonight. If there's a second, then we can have some more discussion if you'd like. I'd like to schedule this closed session so that we can make those considerations.
I'm sorry, I'm not clear on the motion.
The motion is to have the closed session to consider possible action of litigation regarding these matters.
I would like to make a substitute motion. I felt, and I do, I have already expressed my frustration of seeing that building out there. So you know that I want it to be, taken down as early as possible. However, I do want to give Cafe and Hope Foundation one more chance to come back here to convince us whether an extension would be, why we should consider an extension. So I'd like to substitute a motion to bring them back here.
Was there even a second?
No, there wasn't a second. So
There's no motion to substitute on at this point in time because nobody seconded it.
So if we have the closed session, we allow staff to continue working with both parties. Do you think that would be enough time if we scheduled a closed session at the next meeting, which is in a couple weeks?
I guess that's March 10th or so, right? Is that your next meeting, or?
Yes.
I'm going to do my darndest to get there. I would like 30 days because I've actually sent it out to my various developers that we gave them 30 days to work on something that comes to us that's substantially same as what we originally contemplated. I know that keeps delaying it, but as soon as I've got something, we will speak with Mr. Ritter.
Okay.
Move it forward. But the 10th is extremely ambitious for us.
Is it possible to move to schedule a closed session, not the next meeting, but for a future meeting? Yes? Okay.
I'd like to speak on this at some
Sure,
point tonight
of course.
before we get too far deep into trying to untangle stuff.
Yeah.
I don't see any need for a closed session, first and foremost, and I would not be supportive of going into closed session based on a sort of threat of initiating litigation against the Hoag Foundation or the parties involved. So lest we forget, the Emlyn Hoag Foundation is a wonderful philanthropic local organization. Its board is comprised of top-notch, class act, local community members who genuinely care about this city and provide a home for the Lions, the Kiwanis, the Boys and Girls Club, funding for a number of organizations. I've been actively involved in this throughout this problem, and I understand it's complicated. I'm not personally inclined to take a heavy-handed approach to do this. I would like to see it developed out or moved along, whether it gets demolished and rebuilt or whether it gets finished. I would like to see that happen tomorrow as much as the next guy. I just don't agree with that approach. And I don't see a need to handle any of this in closed session. I'd like to keep it open and in public session and let everybody weigh in on it, for starters. And to remind everyone, we're kind of all in this together. There's no city tax dollars involved in this. This was not a redevelopment agency project. This is a private market failure of a project that happened during the downturn. And I believe, although the site has been mired with all kinds of litigation, that we're coming to a clearing now where the parties are working together and are trying to be productive. So that's one point. Another point, since we're opining on what it should or should not be, I personally don't have a preference for whether it's mixed use or straight residential or whatever you guys as private property owners decide you would like to see. My personal opinion is the original site plan may have been flawed even in a healthy market. Of course, anything seemed like it was possible back at that time. And I could read a little excerpt from the letter, which talks about zoning issues, and it says, the overall consensus of the development community and the architectural consultant engaged by the Hoag Foundation is that it will be extremely challenging for retail uses to be successful on the property as part of a mixed-use development. This is because consumers in Orange County have consistently demonstrated an aversion to patronizing retail establishments where consumer must park in a parking garage. Examples of the foregoing are the Triangle Square in Costa Mesa, Kaleidoscope project in Mission Viejo. Upon opening, Triangle Square had many nationally recognized retail tenants as well as a grocery store. Ultimately, all of the initial tenants ceased operations due to the fact that there was not sufficient patronage. So I kind of buy into that piece, and it seems to me that that highest and best use for you guys to proceed and to get it done faster, I'd say it's an open playing field. If you want to do mixed use, that's okay with Steve Jones. If you want to do residential, whatever you guys see fit, I'm supportive of whatever helps the Hoag Foundation move the project forward and Cathay Bank move the project forward as fast as possible. That's my personal opinion.
Yes, I do agree with Councilman Steve Jones. And I said earlier, maybe it get lost between the lines. To me, I am not concerned at this point about what you are planning to do with that project in terms of whether it's mixed use or high-end condominiums. But what I'm concerned is you have a solid plan and a solid timeline to make sure that it will be developed and will be developed timely. And so I would like to ask you, to come back here and convince us. If you can show us that you have a developer that intend to develop that and within the timeline that the city can work with, then I will support it. But it will not be something that I can feel comfortable granting over and over, the extension over and over again. I also agree that I do not want to address this issue in a closed session. This should be done because we are not going to take legal action yet. We are discussing whether we will grant or not granting the extension. So I would like to do that in a public hearing. And only when we have to do that, we have to take legal action, would be conducted in the closed session.
The reason why I made the motion for closed session is so that we can consider our options. It doesn't mean that we will take action. I'm not in favor of taking any action in closed session. If even we had something to take action on, I would encourage that we take action publicly. So just to clarify on that, the reality is it's not only something that's been there for a long time. There's already been a demolition order. Would you please refresh my memory of when that demolition order is, Mr. Roeder, or staff?
The order issued by the city was July 2, 2013. That order required that the property be secured basically for a year, and if construction had not resumed during that year, that the obligation to commence demolition actually arose as of July 2nd, 2014.
Thank you. So, for the record, the order was issued July 2nd, 2013.
That's correct.
14.
I'm sorry.
The original order issued July 2nd, 2013. It provided for a
2000.
year for the property to be secured, and after that year, since construction had not commenced, the obligation to demolish became effective July 2, 2014.
Okay, so I know I wasn't on that previous council, and it looks like it's supposed to be demolished July 2nd, 2014. Why hasn't any action been taken? Staff?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, prior to that date, Hoag Foundation and Cathay Bank brought in a developer, the Tri-Millennium developer. You weren't on the council, but for the council members who were, we did present that proposal to them, I believe last summer. So because they had a developer and they had a project, it was a mixed-use project. It was a project that, generally speaking, met the intent, was very close to the code. So we wanted to continue to work with them instead of taking extreme abatement action. So I think we were trying to be understanding and supportive to get a project that we could actually get constructed.
That's understandable. And, I do know that there are a lot of great people that depend on the future success of whatever is developed there for our communities, including the Boys and Girls Club, Kiwanis, Lions. And these are the facts in front of us, colleagues. And the reason why I'm asking for a closed session is so that we can consider our options. It doesn't mean that we're going to have you come up with something in a couple weeks. I think we should schedule something in terms of a closed session to consider our options as a city. We are representatives of our city, and we should know what our legal options are, considering the facts of the matter in front of us.
Mr. Mayor, if I may inject, you had said, Lisa, that you need about 30 days to at least see some clarity.
Yes.
Can we make a request for Lisa to come back in that 30 days, within 30 days in the public forum? Let us know what's happening at that time, and if we see that there's been no progress or any change in course where we're at right now, then I would certainly second your motion, Mr. Mayor, at that time for a closed session. Would that be something that is amenable?
So, sure, I'd like to do that as well. So would you second the motion now to schedule a future closed session, and then we can vote on that after the 30 days? Because it's not, we're not having a closed session is reserving our rights, our option as a city, so that we can fight for the best interests of our city here.
I think the Hope Foundation and Cathay Bank get the message very clear on the wall that if they don't have anything soon, the wall will come, the sky will fall down on that site. So, but I hope that you get this message very clear. I want to allow this project another opportunity to become successful. And so I do not think that we need to have a closed session predetermined. Let's have a public hearing 1 month from today. And then at that time, if we do not feel that there are any light at the end of the tunnel, then we will at that time vote for a closed session.
Okay, so from my understanding, there's no required public hearing because it doesn't go in terms of any particular procedure where we're required to have a public hearing. You're definitely welcome to come back. Perhaps we want to schedule a study session, in the next in the next few weeks, as soon as possible.
Well, what I meant was we table this discussion tonight so that the Hope Foundation and Cathay Bank will come back here in a month and present to us the argument whether or not we should grant them an extension. That's all I'm asking.
Sure, I hear you. We haven't heard from Councilmember Chris Beard. Would you like to chime in at all?
Certainly. I think we have proposals pending, correct? Proposals pending with developers coming in to give us ideas. I also heard that you worked well with city staff in the last month or so, or last couple weeks. Moving forward, this is the best time we've ever had to work together as a city, as developer, the bank, the foundation. So I would agree that if we move forward, I like what the city manager said, suggestion of some structured or some timelines. I think that's important. We're concerned, we the city have bared the brunt of that skeleton out there. We had nothing to do with it. It was a private project, but we get the blame for having it out there saying, city, and because of all the circumstances, the economy and such, we understand that. We've given ample consideration and time and effort, and I understand you're in the business to make money and you want to recoup on your loans and such. So I know the incentive is already there. We don't have to hold your feet to the fire anymore. You're moving on it. So with that, I think if we work together by the next meeting, within the 30 days that you say these proposals come in, let's take a look at that information, continue working with staff. If we can come up with some realistic timeline based on those proposals, then we have our options in front of us, because it may involve a mixed use, it may be a housing, whatever works best for that situation. So I think at this time, we don't need a closed session. We may in the future, if you don't meet certain timelines that we can establish, or not in concrete, but realistic timelines based on the proposals you're about to receive. So with that, I'd like to hear it anywhere from 30 days to maybe even beyond that, to have concrete information we can work on all together, working with the city. So that would be my suggestion, not at this time to have a closed session, but the option for having a closed session if we consider that's needed at that time.
Okay. Dr. Grant?
Just very briefly, for the record, the biggest thing that has slowed this project down is the legal quagmire that we have been in, and the lawsuits and everything else, which between mechanics liens and everything else that's been on the property, we could not move forward, and our hands were tied. I think our last meeting with the city was incredibly productive. I would suggest if we could meet with the city again, Cathay, Hoag, and the city, I think we can come up with a timeline, a lot of information, and move this project forward. I, too, am a member of this community and have been for a long time. I hear about it, trust me. I see somebody walking down the street, I'm looking the other way. But we want to get this done, and that's what we're going to do. Thank God, though, I'm not in your seats.
Yes, I think it's great that staff maintains communication, active communication. Let's work together. We can definitely do this, and let's table this item. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let's see where we're at here. Oh, okay. Let's give me one moment here. I'm looking for the name that Mr. Mitchell brought forward. Let's adjourn this meeting in memory of Ted Narinos, World War II and also Korean War vet, U.S. Marines, and also former member of the Freedom Committee.
Good night, brother.
Night, guys.
Welcome all.